Hi everyone, my name is Az. Welcome to my channel. This is my first video, so there will be a few mistakes, no doubt. I guess that's inevitable. But today I'd like to do a review of a book that came out in 1992, in June of 1992, and that is Michael Jackson's Dancing the Dream. So Michael's album Dangerous came out in November of 1991. So then 7 months later, Michael released this. And I believe the idea of this release was to give fans a souvenir to take home who went to see Michael on tour in 1992 and 93. So this is a book of poems and reflections by Michael Jackson. There's 46 entries in here. Um, Very philosophical sort of ponderings on the universe and life and children and animals and love and creativity. It's, as you can see on the cover here, there's an image of Michael from the Panther dance section of the black or white short film, and then it's just sort of flipped on the back. They did re-release this book. They reissued it in 2009 when Michael Jackson passed away. But the book, as far as I'm concerned, is an absolute gem, and actually is almost, for me personally, it's almost like a lost album, or perhaps an album in print form. As I say, there's 46 entries in this book. Four of those appear on the Dangerous album. Two of those are songs, Heal the World and Will You Be There? And then there's the two poem reflections. There's the dance, which is Dancing the Dream here, but I think in the album he just calls it the dance. And then there is also Planet Earth, of course. Planet Earth was released posthumously on the This Is It soundtrack. But this also has over 100 images here, and they are absolutely stunning images in this book. And the writing from Michael Jackson is just absolutely outstanding. So this book, I believe, was conceived and conceptualized by Michael Jackson and Deepak Chopra. So Michael was reading a lot of Deepak Chopra, I guess, around this time. And if you're familiar with Deepak Chopra's work, actually, that sort of free flow conscious style sort of very much rings through in this book. Um, but just to sort of briefly go through the book and sort of give you an idea of sort of what's in the book. So there's Michael, there's a capture there from the Will You Be There performance from MTV 10. There's a lot of captures from Michael Jackson's short films and live performances, actually. And the book is sort of thematically, it's sort of held together with images from the Panther dance section of the black or white video, and I guess that sort of like gives it its feel of consistency throughout the book. But it's just filled with absolutely beautiful images, and the writings are absolutely incredible, really insightful. There's a lovely picture of Michael there on the bad tour, actually. But just to sort of go through the book briefly, as I say, like the images are just fantastic, actually, and um, and the writing is just beautiful from Michael Jackson. So it's very sort of philosophical writing. Um, Dancing the Dream. So we have that Dancing the Dream there, which is just called the dance in on the Dangerous album. So the thing about this book as well is, for me at least anyway, this is sort of a missing album between Dangerous and History. And there's a lot sort of linking those two albums together with this sort of as a almost as a centerpiece. So as I say, on the Dangerous album, you've got Heal the World, Will You Be There? And then on the History album, of course, you've got Earth Song, but you've got Planet Earth on this. And I believe Planet Earth, Earth Song, and Will Heal the World were sort of conceptualized at one point to be a sort of a three-piece suite of sort of global songs or anthems. So so that's it. So there's, I mean, the images in here, it's worth it alone for just the quality of the images in here. And then, I mean, the writing is incredible. It's really, really It's really, there's a lot of drawings in here as well. These two artists, or not these, this artist and the artist involved in this book, I think they're mentioned in the back. There is no table of contents in this book, which I mean is sort of a bit of a disadvantage for moments like this. So it's sort of difficult to sort of like pin down who drew what image, or who, who the photographer is for any given image. But then I guess it's sort of not designed in that way. It's a coffee table book, and I guess it's designed to sort of just open up, leaf through, and then find a passage of inspiration and enlightenment, kind of. So I mean, you could read it back to front, but I guess you don't have to. It's not sort of laid out obviously like a novel. There's that original cover of Michael for the Bad album, which was to be called Smooth Criminal, of course. Um, so that is from The Boy and the Pillow, and it's just filled with beautiful images. There's these images now. I believe these were featured in a calendar in the 80s, in the mid 80s, and then there's also another few. Well, there's probably quite a few images actually from Sam Emerson, the photographer Sam Emerson. So I believe this picture was taken on the third leg of the Bad tour when Michael went back to Japan, and I believe Michael Jackson sort of had a day in this place where he had access to all of these costumes and sets, and Sam Emerson spent the day taking more pictures of Michael dressed in regal sort of attire, Roman gear and traditional Japanese dress, and all sorts of costumes. There's Heal the World in there as well, and there's a beautiful drawing. There's Michael in a cloud looking down. And that's another thing about this book as well, is it's incredibly prophetic, and the fact that, when Michael Jackson passed away, a lot of this sort of work takes on completely new meaning. There's a piece in here dedicated to Ryan White, actually. Oh, there it is. And there's a piece in there dedicated to Ryan White. And of course, on the Dangerous album, Gone Too Soon is dedicated to Ryan White. But of course, when Michael Jackson passed away himself in 2009, then that sort of song took on a completely different meaning, a completely new meaning for fans of Michael Jackson and for people who'd sort of grown up and listened to Michael Jackson all their lives. But there is a beautiful piece on Ryan White there. Um, there's one here on Children of the World, and again, look, like the beautiful image. I'm sure this was in a calendar as well. I'm sure growing up I had that in a calendar because I remember that image. Sadly though, then there's an image of Michael next to this, and it's called On Children of the World, and then rather sadly you have like an image of Wade Robson, and that's incredibly sad. That's incredibly sad, the fact that Michael put his trust into these children who grew up and became adults. And I mean, I guess that's a different story, but as I say, things take on different meanings. And oh, there's a beautiful reflection here called Two Birds, and there's another lovely picture of Michael there from the MTV 10 performance of Will You Be There. So that is stunning. I do have a few pages sort of marked out here. I love this image. This is a still from the desert promotional video for the Dangerous album. So the book itself is inspired, as I say, and sort of worked on with Deepak Chopra, and you can sort of really tell that if you're familiar with Deepak Chopra's writings. Um, and Deepak Chopra helped Michael, I believe, sort of assemble these writings and advised him and guided him on them. But they're absolutely just wonderful. So where do I want to go now? So I've got a few things marked out here. This is actually one of my favorite photos of Michael Jackson, and it's just him on a balcony, somewhere nice, peaceful, and serene, and just sort of in a moment of reflection. He's got his leg on the table and he's reading a book, and that is Are You We. That's actually a beautiful piece there as well. There is a two-piece poem in this book called I think it's Mystical Child. Is it Mystical Child? which is incredible and worth the price of the book alone. This book as well, I believe, goes for quite cheap online. You'd pick this up for probably £5 on eBay. A second edition of this, and it's just wonderful. I love the images of Michael in here. There is some really, really fantastic shots of Michael. Of course, there's Michael as a child, and that is children. And actually, yeah, I have a note here. So Michael quoted from this passage in his 1993 Grammy Legend Award, when he received that award, and he was wearing that white jacket with the diamonds, or whatever diamonds. So just a quick read through this little section here is: what we need to learn from children isn't childish. Being with them connects us to the deep wisdom of life, which is ever present and only asks to be lived. Now, when the world is so confused and its problems so complicated, I feel we need our children more than ever. Their natural wisdom points to the way to solutions that lie waiting to be recognized within our own hearts. And it's just so insightful, so enlightening. There's a poem from Michael's mother, Catherine Jackson, and this book is actually dedicated to Catherine Jackson. Now, I don't know if this poem actually appeared in a Catherine Jackson release in the early 90s. I'm possibly wrong about that, but there is something rather familiar. There's some beautiful candid shots of Michael as well in his rehearsal space, I believe, in Neverland. And this actually, so there's a passage here called Magic, which is just beautiful, absolutely beautiful, and it really sort of shows you sort of Michael Jackson's creative psyche and his mind, and but the image that accompanies it is just absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So, the fish that was thirsty. I love this image of Michael on the hill there with the tree. It's absolutely stunning. I mean, I could wax lyrical on this book for 2 or 3 days. I'm just such a fan of it. There's one there on innocence, and Michael Jackson just sort of goes into innocence that sort of fades away as you become an adult. And I guess that's a big part of the reason as well why he wanted to stay connected to children, for their innocence and their sort of purity. So there's another one here called Trust, and again, like, regarding sort of what I said earlier about like things being prophetic and taking on new meaning, it's very much so rings through with Michael Jackson. But you've got a piece here on trust, and then of course you've got Wade Robson again. And for me, it's just so sad. It's just so sad that Michael put his trust and love and gave a lot of these kids his time and gave them opportunities and allowed them to be part of his universe, and then for it to go the way it went. And then you read the piece here called Trust, and it's about, obviously, like for Michael, it's trust in oneself and it's trust in others and growing from trust. And then for the fact, the things went the way they did, which is quite sad. So there's a piece here as well called Courage, and this, again, beautiful shot of Michael there looking rather swag. We've got some shots from the Bad short film video shoot. And this one. So there's a piece here called Love. I pardon the pun, but I love this image. Again, this was on a calendar. In fact, this was the cover of a calendar I had as a kid growing up. Beautiful image of Michael there talking to a young kid. This sort of reminds me of a clip from the Legend Continues VHS from the 80s, where at the end, when the credits are rolling, Michael is teaching a kid to dance. Is that the kid? No, it's not. It's actually a different kid, but perhaps it's from the same time and place. I'm probably wrong. So there's a lot on spirituality. There's a piece here called God, and it's very, very reflective, insightful, in depth. Michael Jackson's sort of questioning the universe, and talking about the self and the will of the self, and courage and strength and inner strength, and the courage to be vulnerable. So there's a piece here as well called How I Make Music. So Michael says, people ask me how I make music. I tell them I just step into it. It's like stepping into a river and joining the flow. Every moment in the river has its song, so I stay in the moment and listen. When I hear what I hear is never the same. I walk through the woods. I walk through the woods. A walk through the woods brings a light, crackling song. Leaves rustle in the wind, birds chatter and squirrels scold, twigs crunch underfoot, and the beat of my heart holds it all together. When you join the flow, the music is inside and outside, and both are the same. As long as I can listen to the moment, I'll always have music. And it's just beautiful, sort of quite deep, reflective, inner sort of thoughts from Michael Jackson. We've seen the Ryan White piece there, which is very sad, actually. It's really sad that Ryan White piece. There's a lot of stuff actually that's so deep and sentimental. There's some shots there from Smooth Criminal, and there's one called Ecstasy. And this. So as I said earlier, that this is sort of the missing album, I believe personally, between Dangerous and History. And then you've got the piece here called Berlin 1989, about the Berlin Wall coming down, and Michael using that as a way to sort of poetically So what's happening? The wall asked, trembling, without knowing what they did. They were looking through the wall. So yeah, so this piece is about families separated by the wall, and then the wall coming down. But it was too late. A million hearts had found each other. The wall had fallen long before it came down. And just beautiful poetic stuff like that. And I mean, this is a famous image of Michael, and he's wearing that jacket, which has come to be known as the Berlin jacket. And perhaps it's because it's sort of used next to the reflection on Berlin 1989. It's a beautiful image. And this image actually was used as a promotional sticker on later pressings of the History album. So there's another little sort of, tie there to History. Mother Earth. There is. Okay, that's an absolutely beautiful piece, actually. Wise Little Girl. Quite touching. Quite touching. Really, 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 really beautiful. We've seen that. Oh, there's another fantastic image of Michael here from the Bad Era, which is another personal favorite of mine. And as I said, it's a really, really great book, and I just cannot recommend it enough. This was used in a calendar as well in the 80s. I had this growing up. Michael in Japan with all the kids. Child of Innocence. There is a beautiful two-piece poem in here called the Mystical Child or the Magical Child, and it is absolutely sensational. And of course, getting back to what I said earlier about the fact that there's no table of contents in here. Did I mention that there's no table of contents in here, which makes it sort of pretty much impossible for moments like this now just to sort of find what I'm looking for. But again, it wasn't designed in that way. It was designed really to sort of leaf through and just land on something and find a little bit of inspiration, a little moment of a little nice reflective moment, I guess. Where is it? I searched for my start, so I'm just going to briefly quickly. Yeah, so Will You Be There is there as well, and there's a beautiful shot of Michael there from the Bad Era. A lot of fans will be familiar with a lot of these images, but to have them in such high quality and printed on such beautiful paper. So The Magical Child, this is The Magical Child Part 2, and The Magical Child is Michael's story, really, I guess. is Michael's story, really. And that's what I love about this book as well. If anybody ever doubted Michael Jackson's character or what his motivations were for his art, for his how he lived his life as a human being, then this book is a great insight into that. It just really sort of shows you how much Michael Jackson cared for animals and the planet and children and human beings and creativity. And oh, there's a beautiful shot here actually of Michael in the studio, a nice from the rehearsal. So it's really really nice. Breaking Free. This is a very short piece, but I really really like this. Breaking Free. All this hysteria, all this commotion, time, space, energy, or just a notion. What we have conceptualized, we have created, all those loved, all those hated. Where is the beginning? Where is the end? Time's arrow, so difficult to bend. Those broken promises, what they meant, those love letters never sent. And it's just stunning, stunning. Some really, really awesome shots of Michael Jackson in this. I may have showed that already, but I really love that promotional video for Dangerous. Actually, really love it. As I said, there's a lot of images from black or white there. Look again, baby seal. Some more there. There's a panther section again. There's a image there of Michael again from sort of the beginning of black or white. And then it says the dream continues there at the end. But I can't recommend this book highly enough, especially if you're a fan. This is sort of something that's really, really sort of. It doesn't have the reputation that it deserves. A lot of people seem to have slept on this or are not aware of it, and it's really, really worth having in your collection. As I keep saying, for me, it's almost like an album in print form, and perhaps it's a glimpse of where Michael Jackson would have went creatively had 1993 not went the way it did, um, which is rather sad. But I guess he did evolve in the sense that we got like tracks like Heal the World, and then taking that further as well, he goes very introspective as well on a few of the tracks on Blood on the Dance Floor actually, and even Invincible. But this is something that's well worth getting. So it's 5 stars for me. I highly recommend it. And yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.